Salvation. What are you saved from? You're still in the same place where your forefathers came, which is captivity. So what are you saved from? Let's get into this topic on how we're going to be saved. We know that it's the changing of one's mind in the keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, which puts you on the road to salvation. But none of us are saved. None of us haven't made it out of here. None of us are in our land. None of us are talking the truth with everyone we meet. When was the last time you saw John the Baptist Avenue? Have you seen the 12 Tribes of Israel Boulevard? I ain't seen that yet. I haven't seen the streets of gold. We're trying to get there. We're still in captivity, and we still are held ransom to this day. So we're going to get into what it means to be saved. So let's go to Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Hashem Hamashayach Yahawashi, giving thanks to the Most High Yahweh and the Abba by him. All praise to the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Hamashayach Yahawashi, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's worthy to be praised for everything. Through Hamashayach Yahawashi, we give him praise. Let's go to 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 15. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 15. And it reads, and that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is Hamashayach Yahawashi. So it's telling you, as a child, you knew the Holy Scripture, but it doesn't say that this child was saved. It says, which are able to make you wise unto salvation. So we still are on the road to salvation. The Scriptures is telling us that. All Scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of the Most High or the woman may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. The good works is how we're going to get into the kingdom. Let's go to Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the Scriptures might have hope, might have inspiration, might have belief, might have faith. All that comes from reading the Scriptures. That's why we're in the Scriptures all the time. So now let's get into the salvation part. Let's go to Matthew chapter 1 and verse 21. Because like I said, how do you know what salvation is? What's going to redeem us from this place into salvation? Matthew chapter 1. Matthew chapter 1. Let's start at verse 20. Matthew chapter 1, verse 20. But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Most High appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David. Joseph was the son of David. Fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit put a spirit on the seed of Joseph, which was the lineage of King David. Verse 21, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahawashi, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now, even with that, people are confused. He said that he will save his people from their sins. Who are his people? His people are the 12 tribes of Israel. That's who his people are. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15. And let's see, because if that was deemed on him, he came out with that language that he would save his people. Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. Let's start at 22. Matthew 15 and 22. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast, and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Hamashayach, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil, a demon. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came beside him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after her. So it says that this woman came out of the coast of Canaan. Now, if you go into other sections of the book, there's the same copy in another gospel. And it says that she was of a Syrophoenician Greek. But it says, but he answered her not a word. And his disciples came beside him, saying, Send her away. Why? Because what happened when he didn't say anything to her? She went after the disciples. She started chasing the disciples. They was like, man, she getting on our nerves now. For she cried after us. See that? That's why the nations have to bless Israel. If they don't bless Israel, they'll be cursed. Verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The same thing that was prophesied that he would be born to do, he's telling the people out of his own mouth that he was only sent to save the house of Israel. You see that? That's what he was sent to do. Let's go over to John chapter 4. So that woman was a heathen. But let's look at how he deals with this next woman. John chapter 4. Let's go to John chapter 4. John chapter 4, verse 7. It reads, There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahawashi saith unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. This time he's by himself. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. So what is she calling herself? She calling herself an Israelite? She calling herself a Jew? From this conversation, she's calling Yahawashi a Jew, but she's calling herself what? A Samaritan. You got to understand the history of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tribes of Israel. You had 2 tribes in the southern kingdom, which was Judah and Benjamin. And then you had the other 10 tribes. And Levi would be actually a 13th tribe, but Levi was mixed in with all the tribes as the priest. Who were the citizens of Samaria? That's what I want. Isaiah chapter 7, verse 8. Isaiah chapter 7, verse 8. This is talking about the northern region above Israel. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin, and within 65 years shall Ephraim be broken, that it be not a people. So who is Ephraim? Ephraim is Joseph. Y'all know who Joseph was. It's the young man with the colorful coat, right, of the 12 tribes of Israel. This is Joseph's son, Ephraim, right? And Ephraim became a nation. So if Ephraim became a nation, he became one of the greatest nations, one of the biggest out of all the 10 tribes. But let's read verse 9. So it says that Ephraim would be broken, that it be not a people. It says, and the head of Ephraim is Samaria. So this sister was calling herself a Samaritan. But Ephraim was broken up in Samaria, which also had Ethiopians. So this city was populated with Ethiopians and Israelites. And it says, and the head of Samaria is Ramallah's son. If you will not believe, surely you shall not be established. So let's keep that note that Ephraim and Samaria, the Ethiopians, and the 10 tribes were together. They were both living in Samaria, which is parts of Assyria. Now, let's go to 2 Kings. Let's get up a little bit more to prove the fact that this woman talking to Yahawashi was an Israelite. 2 Kings, chapter 17. And let's go to verse 22. 2 Kings, chapter 17, and verse 22. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam. Jeroboam was Solomon's son that went off, which he did. They departed not from them, until the Most High removed Israel out of his sight. As he had said by all his servants, the prophets, so was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria. Unto this day, Assyria, Samaria, same area, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutha, which is the Ethiopians, and from Ava, more Ethiopians, and from Hamath, more Ethiopians, and from Sepharvaim, Ethiopians, and placed them in the cities of where? Samaria, instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. So remember what we read in Isaiah chapter 7, verse 8. It says that Ephraim would be broken, that they were broken because they were a large people and they were broken up. And what does it mean broken? It's just like us when we came on those slave ships here. Was we not broken up all over the country? We was broken up. We're still here, but our mindset is not here. We don't remember who we are. Well, this was Ephraim back then. They were broken up amongst the Ethiopians. So we are all scattered amongst these Ethiopians. And what color are the Ethiopians? They're black. What color are the Israelites? Black. Joseph got old and got ready to die. He blessed his 2 sons, right? Ephraim and Manasseh. The one that he gave the first blessing to was Ephraim. And Ephraim became a huge tribe that engulfed the 10 tribes. This is why the northern kingdom today was called Ephraim. The northern kingdom became Ephraim because that tribe was so big. So let's go to Joshua chapter 17. Joshua chapter 17, and let's go to verse 14. Joshua chapter 17 and verse 14. Because the woman said that her fathers worship on this mountain, and we're going to talk about that, right? She was talking to Yahawashi, and she was from Samaria. Now, what mountain is she talking about? We're going to read about Ephraim here. Verse 14, Joshua chapter 17, verse 14. And the children of Joseph spoke unto Joshua, saying, Why hast thou given me but one lot and one portion to inherit, seeing I am a great people? See that? For as much as the Most High have blessed me hitherto. And Joshua answered them, If thou be a great people, then get thee up to the wood country, and cut down for thyself there, in the land of Perizzites, and the giants, and of the giants. If Mount Ephraim be too narrow for you, that's the mountain right there. And the children of Joseph said, The hill is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites that dwell in the land of the valley have chariots of iron, both they who are of Bethshan and her towns, and they who are of the valley of Jezreel. So the Canaanites was living there before. And Joshua spoke unto the house of Joseph, even to Ephraim, and to Manasseh, that's his brother, saying, Thou art a great people, hast great power. Thou shalt not have one lot only. But the mountain shall be thine for it a wood, and thou shalt cut it down, and the outgoings of it shall be thine. But thou shalt drive out the Canaanites, though they have iron chariots, and though they be strong. So Ephraim, this is a mountain that the woman was crying about. You should know what this mountain is, and you should know what Samaria is, because that's where Ephraim dwelt. And let's go to verse 12. Let's start at verse 11. John chapter 4, verse 11. The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob? So she's telling you right there, she's an Israelite. What type of Israelite? She's from the 10 tribes that was in Samaria, which was Ephraim. Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Let's drop down to verse 20. She's going to talk about our fathers again. Our fathers worship in this mountain, the same mountain that we just showed you in Joshua chapter 17 and verse 18. This is that same mountain during the days of Joshua. Our fathers worship in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship? Yahawashi saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain of Ephraim, nor yet at Jerusalem, worship the Father. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the what? Of the Jews, of the Judean. What does that mean? This is what we just read about in Joshua. So when he says the mountain, he's talking about there's no longer going to be a mountain that we worship in. We're going to worship all over the world. Salvation is of the Jews. That means the salvation of the Jews. It means that we're going to have a ruler that's going to come out of the loins of Judah. We're going to have a king, and that king is going to bring salvation to all the Israelites. That's what it's talking about. It's going back to Matthew 1 and 21, and he shall save his people. So he's going into all these different areas of the region looking for his people. Even in Ephraim, and they was broken up and forgotten about. And the Jews stopped claiming them because they was lost amongst the Ethiopians and the Assyrians, all right? They were lost. They started calling them Samaritans. And this is why, if you ever read the scriptures and you hear about the rabbis and the Pharisees calling him a Samaritan, he said, you're a Samaritan. He never says nothing back to them because he knew his people were lost in Samaria. He never even says a word. So we have to understand that our people, just like then, today we're the same way. We're scattered abroad. So let's go to Genesis chapter 49. Genesis 49 and verse 10. Genesis 49 and verse 10. It reads, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until who comes? Until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So who is Shiloh? Yahawashi. He's the peace gatherer. He came to gather his people. He's the lawgiver. He is the Lion of Judah. He has the scepter, something that a king carries. And so that's why when you go back to John, go back to the Gospel of John chapter 4, and let's look at verse 25. And listen to what the woman says of Samaria, which was our sister. Verse 25. The woman said unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Hamashayach. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Yahawashi saith unto her, I that speak unto you am he. I am Shiloh. He's telling her secretly, I'm the king. I'm the one that's come to save y'all. All right? So he is that one that's going to save us. Yahawashi, the Most High, set him up to come back and save us through the Most High, Yahweh. It was prophesied in the Holy Scriptures that the Most High would send one to come back and save us. But when you ask a Christian, they don't really understand the significance of who he's coming back to save. They think he's coming to save everybody. John 3:16. They think he's coming for the whole world. All right? That word world is talking about Israel. He made the worlds It says I think it's in Ephesians, it says they frame up the worlds upon a word, worlds meaning plural. Each world represents a society of people or a nation of people. He's only coming for the world of Israel. Oikomene is how you say it in the Greek. It means one world, one people. It's just like the animal world, the motorcycle world, the sports world, football world, they're different worlds. So the world he's talking about is the world of Israel. Right? Let's go to Luke chapter 1, verse 67. Luke 1 and 67. And notice what it says. Listen how our forefathers talk about the prophecies. Luke chapter 1, verse 67. And his father, Zacharias, was filled with the Holy Spirit and prophesied, saying, Blessed be the Most High of Israel. Who is Zacharias? This is the father of John the Baptist. He was a priest. Verse 68. Blessed be the Most High Yahweh of Yasharallah, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. So now we know what this is talking about. As he spoke by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. Now, a picture, we could go to that. It's from the historian of Josephus, and this is talking about the factual basis that Hamashiach existed. At the top it says Yahawashi. I wrote it in. But this is the book of Josephus. You can purchase this on Amazon. This is one of the most noted top historians of our time. It was during the Roman captivity. And so this is chapter 3. It says at the top right corner, it says book 18. It says chapter 3. And this is a big book. All right. It goes over all the history of Israel. So I highlighted number 3. It says 63. It's in yellow. All right. Now I'm going to read it. And this is what this is like the newspaper of that day. It's like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal. So this happened. He says, now there was about this time Yahawashi, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man, for he was a doer of wonderful works. And we read about that in the Gospels. A teacher of such men as receive the truth with pleasure. And we talked about pleasure last class when it comes to the Sabbath. We talked about what is pleasure of the Most High versus pleasure of the world. So he did all things in pleasure of the Most High. He drew over to him both many of the Jews and many of the Gentiles. What are the Gentiles? The 10 tribes. He went to the Samaritan woman. We just read about it. She was considered a Gentile to the Jews because she was lost. So they called her a Gentile, even though she was an Israelite. It says, he was the Hamashiach. He was the Christ. And when Pilate, at the suggestion of the principal men among us, had condemned him to the cross, those that loved him at the first did not forsake him, for he appeared to them alive again the third day. So it happened. This is the newspaper of that day. He really resurrected. As the divine prophets have foretold these and 10,000 other wonderful things concerning him. So the prophets all through the Bible spoke about him. And this historian is factually proven it was true. So Yahawashi did exist. He did resurrect. And guess what? He's coming back. And then it says, and the tribe of Christians, so named from him, are not extinct at this day. Who started calling them Christians? He called them Hamashiachim, right? Which means the anointed ones. All right. And then the Roman Constantine got involved, 300 some AD, and made everybody Christians under a new doctrine. So whatever they're pushing is not the same as this. So that's the factual letter or a document of what happened in those days. So let's go back to the scriptures so you can understand there's so much substantial documentary here that it blows your mind when it talks about he was the doer of wonderful works and the teacher of such men as received the truth. And we know what the truth is, Psalms 119 and 142. Thy righteousness is everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. That's Psalms 119 and 142. Let's go to verse 70. And reads, as he spoke by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. So the prophets, he's saying the same thing Josephus said, Zechariah, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. So we have enemies. And Yahawashi is coming to save us from our enemies, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers and to remember his holy covenant, the oath which he swore to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear. Because right now, some of us are afraid to serve him in the public eye. You know, we get kind of shamed, like people going to talk bad about me because I'm wearing this or because I'm doing this. So we're going to be able to serve him without fear in the kingdom, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. And thou, child, shall be called the prophet of the highest, for thou shalt go before the face of the Most High to prepare his ways, to give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins. So that's what he's doing for us today. We ask in his name to forgive our sins. And then it says, through the tender mercy of our power, whereby the dayspring from on high hath visited us. So he came and visited us with what? With peace. To give light to them that sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet in the way of peace. All praise to the Most High. See that? So all this stuff is true, and you got to know this for salvation, especially now. Let's go to Acts chapter 1. Let's see, how are we going to be redeemed? If we know all this, let's see how he got salvation. Once he followed all the ways of the truth, he was saved. Let's go to the book of Acts. The book of Acts, chapter 1. So let's go to the 6th verse. And look at what it says. It says, when they therefore were come together, they asked them. Let's start at the very first verse, 2nd verse. It says, unto the day in which he was taken up, after that he through the Holy Spirit had given commandments unto the apostles whom he had chosen, to whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of things pertaining to the kingdom of the Most High. So he was here after he resurrected the third day. He was here 40 days, proving everything. Now let's jump down to verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? They thought that because he had the power, he was going to do it then. And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. But you shall receive the power after that the Holy Spirit is come upon you. And you shall be witness unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria. Notice what the Samaria is. Who is there? The 10 tribes. And unto the uttermost part of the earth, meaning we're scattered abroad, like James 1:1. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. What is that cloud? And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, and as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. Who are these 2 men? Angels. Which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahawashi, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So the same way he left is the same way he's coming back. And it said that he was received by a cloud. All right? That cloud is something you cannot look over, the cloud. So we're going to talk about this cloud because this is part of our salvation. Because how is he going to come back? Let's go to Mark chapter 13. Let's see how he's going to come back, because we need to know this. Because the way he comes back is the way we're going to leave. And we're going to come back. Same way. Mark chapter 13, verse 26. Mark chapter 13, verse 26. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Plural. There's more clouds. See that? What are these clouds? With great power and glory. These clouds, what are they? They're called today, they call them drones. And before that, they called them UAPs. And before that, they called them UFOs. But what are they? IFOs. They're identified flying objects. We know what they are. They're the chariots of the Most High. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 2. 2 Kings chapter 2. And let's go to verse 11. Now this is dealing with Elijah. Let's start at verse 1. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass when the Most High would take up Elijah into heaven by a what? A whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. So whirlwind is another name for this cloud. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Most High have sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as the Most High liveth, as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. So now let's jump over and let's go to verse 11. This is 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11. And it reads, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire. Right? So remember, when the children of Israel left Egypt through the wilderness, they went through the ocean, right? The Red Sea. What was the angel in the daytime? It was a cloud. What was the angel at night? It was a chariot of fire. So you have a cloud in the daytime, and then you have a chariot of fire at night. And horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. Why does he say horses of fire? Because it sounds like horses coming when it gets close up on you. And parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up in a whirlwind into heaven. So this chariot, it transformed into a whirlwind and took Elijah up. Or it made a whirlwind up underneath it and took it up. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. So what happened to Elijah? He was taken up by the Most High in a chariot. So Yahawashi, let's go back to Mark chapter 13, verse 26. This really happened. Mark 13 and 26. Gospel of Mark chapter 13, verse 26. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. So he's not coming back with one chariot. He's coming back with multiples, thousands upon thousands of chariots.
Russia, Afghanistan, and India. Discovery also moving into sunrise. As it moves into sunrise, again above Russia.
This is with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. So we are scattered abroad, and he's going to use his angels to what? Bring us back together. So these, if he's coming with all these clouds, what are they? They're UFOs, man. These are our salvation. Zechariah talks about them being a curse to the other nations. But these are our salvation. When we see that thing, it makes sense. We get understanding of what the science is talking about when you read the science books and they're talking about different things. You get understanding now, right? When I first heard this, I thought people were crazy talking about this. Brother was explaining it to me. But as you keep researching and seeing and reading other, like the military top secrets, the UFO cover-up and encounters, and you start reading all that stuff, it all makes sense. The scientists that sent cameras up into space, they said they saw UFOs the size of states, that big, chariots of fire. Just think about that, and think about how he's coming back. Let's look at those angels in the book of Maccabees. I sent you the first two that I sent you. We're going to read those. It starts off with the whole nation. I highlighted the whole nation in yellow. Now, this is coming out of the book of Maccabees. This is in the Septuagint Bible. This is not the King James Bible. This is not the Apocrypha that you may have in the Little Red Book, but this is the third and fourth book of Maccabees. There's 4 books total. In your regular Apocrypha, you might have only 2 books, but there's 2 more. The third book is about what happened to the nation of Israel under the Greeks. It also talks about reasoning in the 4th book, reasonings of the mind. All right, so now let's see here. It says the whole nation was now to be registered. Every individual was to be specified by name, not for that hard servitude of labor which we have little before mentioned, but that he might expose them to the before mentioned tortures. Because they were being tortured, they were being registered. This is where some people say, well, this is the mark that we're supposed to get, the charagma. And they did use something similar to that. They were putting tattoos on people back then in the form of an ivy leaf. It's in the 3rd book of Maccabees. But many of our brothers refused to get that ivy leaf. Right. This is, and finally, in the short space of a day, might extirpate them to be, or by his cruelties. The registering of these men were carried on cruelly, zealously, assiduously, from the rising of the sun to its going down, and was not brought to an end in 40 days. Let's skip to the highlighted version for lack of time. At the end of the above-mentioned interval of time, the registrars brought word to the king that the multitude of the Jews was too great for registration. See that? He's branding them. Inasmuch as there were many still left in the land, of whom some were in inhabited houses, and others were scattered about in various places, so that all the commanders in Egypt were insufficient for the work. The king threatened them and charged them with taking bribes in order to contrive the escape of the Jews, but was clearly convinced of the truth of what had been said. Check this out. They said and proved that paper and pens had failed them for the carrying out of their purpose, and that's what we're up against today. Paper and pens, contracts, laws, right? They write these laws, contracts, for the purpose of taking us down. Now they use media, visual media. Now this was the active interference of the unconquerable providence which assisted the Jews from heaven. So the Most High was assisting us with this problem of them trying to control us and label us. Let's go to the next picture I sent. And the highlighted part of this picture in 3rd Maccabees starts with "and now." I got it out. It says, "And now thou who hatest insolence, thou who dost abound in mercy, thou who art the protector of all things, appear quickly to those of the race of Israel who are insulted by abhorred or hated, lawless Gentiles. If our life has during our exile been stained with iniquity, deliver us from the hand of the enemy and destroy us, O power, by the death which thou preferest." This is one of the reasons why they took this out of your Bible, because it's talking about how we were fighting against these Gentiles. Let's jump down because what they're doing is praying to the Most High in that area where I didn't highlight it. Let's go down to verse 16. Now, this is the part. We were talking about Yahawashi coming with clouds. Well, there are things in those clouds, those chariots, that control them. It says, now at the time that Eleazar had ended his prayer, the king came along to the hippodrome with the wild beasts and with his tumultuous power. When the Jews saw this, they uttered a loud cry to heaven, so that the adjacent valleys resounded and caused an irrepressible lamentation throughout the army. They were using elephants to squash the Israelites. They're going to. Then the all-glorious, all-powerful, and true God displayed his holy countenance and opened the gates of heaven, from which two angels, just like we read in Acts chapter 1, dreadful of form, came down and were visible to all but the Jews. The Jews couldn't see them. And they stood opposite and filled the enemy's host with confusion and cowardice, and bound them with immovable fetters. They was just stuck, right? They froze. And a cold shudder came over the person of the king, and oblivion paralyzed the vehemence of his spirit. They turned back the animals upon the armed forces which followed them, and the animals trod them down and destroyed them. So two angels descended on the earth, didn't show themselves to the Jews, but showed themselves to everything. It probably looked like two predators that came down, right? Everyone saw them, including the animals. Even the animals were in fear that they stomped out all the Greeks, all right? So when they show themselves to the Gentiles, it's fearsome, dreadful. That's the Most High's power. But like we read in the book of Acts chapter 1, those two angels, they looked like regular men. They didn't look dreadful. They didn't look fearful, because those brothers was in the truth. They appeared to them as regular men.
Number one trending story on CBSMiami.com.
It involves talk of alien sightings at Bayside Marketplace. On New Year's Day, there was a massive police response in downtown Miami. More than 50 young people armed with sticks began fighting. Police say juveniles were also setting off fireworks, causing chaos.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall, shadowy aliens.
Next thing you know, you start hearing all this commotion outside, sound like firecrackers or something. So, you know what I'm saying? I grab her close. I'm like, yo, we about to get up out of here, because I originally thought that they were shooting. Next thing I know, it's like crazy. Like, we just see all these people running, like old people even move. I'm talking about moving. Next thing you know, real like gunshots start going off. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we trying to follow the crowd, get out of there. I look back, no cap, yo. No cap. I look back, it looked like a big ass shadow, but it was solid at the same time, like a few shadows, but they were solid at the same time. And it almost looked like they was coming our direction, like they was chasing us, but they was disappearing and reappearing closer. So I'm like, yo, what? So we start really moving. Next thing you know, we start hearing more gunshots, like these dudes start firing at this. Get outside, mad police, all that. You know what I'm saying? The police is like trying to get all the people that ran out the mall. They like trying to detain these people. They lying, yo. It was all them officers and all that. They was not there because of kids fighting. It was really some like movie.
And Biscayne, we do want to show you the scene from above.
I want you guys all just to look at the comments on this thing. And they have been covering this thing up for the last year. All the videos that were up, that came out when it happened, all of those videos have been taken down. Even the people who worked in the stores had testimony. Even their comments are down. Everybody's saying they saw the same thing in this mall. Two big beams flickering on and off like they were in some kind of stealthy suit or some sort of alien suit. So notice that last comment that I put up. You see that last comment? That's what's going on. Now check out this next video. This is another one people have forgotten about.
At night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected?
Leave her alone.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
someone calls 911 reporting two large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm so nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more than an hour after that bright light. Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into the backyard to investigate, but Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear, they're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
And I've found out from speaking to Angel Kenmore that life just really has not been all that easy for the past year since they saw that 10-foot tall creature in their backyard right here behind me. For him, he says that he's plain and simple traumatized by it all. He says he can't sleep at night. He's become slightly paranoid. He cries at night, trying to make sense, heads or tails, of what exactly he saw that night, playing it back over and over in his head. You can imagine the torment that's going through in his head. But to this day, none of the family has a very good explanation about what exactly they saw that night. But to their credit, they've stayed pretty consistent about the facts and the details. I really grilled him about that, trying to get him to remember as much as he possibly could about that night. Here's a portion of our conversation. What do you remember about that night? What do you remember seeing?
Start dug in, I guess. We were in the backyard fixing a truck, and then out of nowhere we just see a big light fall down and basically crash in the backyard. And moments after, like a couple seconds after, I saw the big giant creature in front of me. The alien, whatever you guys want to call it. The alien, demon, whatever you guys want to call it.
What do you believe it is?
A demon.
A demon?
Yeah.
So maybe that's changed, that once you thought it was an alien, now you believe it was a demon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, only God knows what it was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, only God knows what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, only God knows what it was.
But I'm thinking it's like something bad, not a good thing.
Was it moving? Was it doing?
Yes, it was moving. You could see like he was breathing, like he was like pissed off, like he wanted to do something.
And he was looking at you and your brother?
He was looking at me, yeah.
Did he say anything?
Mm-mm. Well, I remember he was growling like a dog, like he was growling.
When did it end?
As soon as I closed my eyes, I guess. I don't know. I think I was praying or something like that, and it just let me go. That's when I went inside, and I saw my dad. I mean, I saw it too.
It felt like it had a control of your body?
Oh yeah, I couldn't move. Yeah.
You were paralyzed at the sight of this thing?
Yeah, I couldn't move.
So just like in the Maccabees, he was paralyzed like the soldiers were. They couldn't move either.
And you were looking at it for 30 or so seconds, and then all of a sudden it was gone?
Yeah. That was pretty creepy.
A lot of people think that that's just hard to believe.
That, like I said again, they can think whatever they want.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want, I'm not doing it for if I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story. That's pretty much it. I made no money off this. I want people to know that I made no money off this. I don't need money. That's pretty much it. They can believe whatever they want.
I bet you hope it doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh, no, hopefully not, no. I hope God, no. Really bad experience. Really traumatizing.
So, just showing you how our salvation works. We're going to not even know why these nations are going to be backtracking. The angels are going to come and fight for us. All praises. So now let's go to another insert that I sent you just to get it out the way. And this is going into the book of Josephus. It's the bottom of a page and it's highlighted. If you have it, let me know.
I have it. I got it.
Does it say 296?
That's the one. 296 okay. Highlighted in yellow. All right. So again, this is dealing with our enemies. But this is the downfall of Israel after Yahawashi prophesied that the Romans would come in and destroy us in 70 AD. So before all that happened, a scene of events happened in Jerusalem. This is one of the events. This happened in the heavens. So it says in 296, so these publicly declared that the signal foreshadowed the desolation that was coming upon them. Besides these, a few days after that feast, on the 120th day of the month of Artemis, a certain great and incredible phenomenon appeared. I suppose the account of it would seem to be a fable, were it not related by those that saw it. So people saw this. And were not the events that followed it of so considerable a nature as to deserve such signals. So there was other signs that happened after this, even though we're about to read just one. It says, for before sunsetting, chariots and troops of soldiers in their armor were seen running about among the clouds. They didn't have no airplanes back then or helicopters. They were seeing chariots in the clouds.
All across the United States.
Kind of approached from over that direction.
People reporting unidentified flying objects.
Like 6 bright orange color lights.
In 2019, there were 221 sightings around the state of Arizona. People describing everything from discs and triangles to lights and fireballs, lasting anywhere from seconds to more than an hour.
You know, when things like this are happening, it seems everyone starts to look up, like my crew and I have been here in Mendham recording this video that you're looking at right now. We have no idea what it is, if it's a natural phenomenon, because it could be, but this is why so many municipalities are now asking people to reach out and send their videos to them or to experts who might be able to sort out what they're seeing in the skies. But I guarantee there are so many people looking up and making those recordings because this mystery is one that needs to be solved.
Now this next video is 2 drones that go up in the sky, and there's a star. It looks like a star, but it's actually a chariot. It shoots them down. Watch carefully.
Helicopters, they were seeing chariots in the clouds, going to and fro from cloud to cloud. And surrounding, let's go to the next one, and surrounding of cities. So these things were all in the sky, kind of like what we were hearing about in New York or New Jersey. People were seeing them all in the sky. So remember, it's a scene of events, of signals that the downfall is near. So America's downfall is near because this is the same thing happening here. Moreover, at the feast, which we call Pentecost, as the priests were going by night into the inner court of the temple, as their custom was to perform their sacred ministrations, they said that in the first place they felt a quaking and heard a great noise. And after that, they heard a sound as of a great multitude saying, let us remove from here. Imagine hearing that from the clouds, right? So the Most High was toying with the children of Israel at that time, all right? So that concludes those documents that we just went over. But going back to the scriptures, it's showing you that all this stuff is really going down. This stuff is really happening. Let's go to Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. Revelation chapter 1, verse 7, because verse 1 talks about the revealing of Hamashayach. He's telling John the Revelator what's going to happen. Verse 7, it says, behold, he cometh with what? Clouds again, plural. And every eye shall see him, just like we read in the book of Josephus. Every eye was seeing these soldiers in the sky, which was chariots. And they also which pierced him, which are the Roman Empire, which is America, which is connected to all the countries in Europe. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so. So he's coming back with clouds, and we're seeing the beginning of it. So this, when we're seeing these things, this is our salvation coming on the earth. These fires jumping off. People don't know that the fire department didn't even know what to do. They was running in buildings just trying to grab things that was of value because they couldn't save the houses. It just got decimated. Everything. And who did it hit? It hit mostly the rich. It didn't hit a lot of our people, even though some of our people got stuck and swallowed up in some of that stuff. But it hit mostly the rich. Or that's who they're talking about. That's who the media is more concerned about, the rich, right? That's who we're seeing on the news. I'm sure some of our people and some of the poor people got caught up in that. They're not talking about them. Matthew chapter 24, and let's go to verse 29. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 29. The Most High talks about, while you're looking for that scripture, the Most High talks about the fanners. There's fanners, which are angels, that are going to fan the fire. They make it jump from place to place. We were just talking about the palm trees, how they get fired, and they go from the palm tree and they land in dry yards or lawns, which start more fires. Well, the Most High got angels fanning these fires in the direction they wanted to go. Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man, which is Yahawashi, coming in the what? Clouds of heaven, with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. Come up hither. That's that trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So we're going to understand what that trumpet sound means, because if you know the history of the scriptures, when you read the book of Exodus, book of Numbers, when all of Israel wanted to hear the Most High and talk to him, and they fasted for 7 days, and they went before the Most High, they were so sinful even at that point that whatever the Most High was saying, it sounded like a trumpet. But Moses heard the words of the Most High coming out. So if you're in error, it's going to sound like a trumpet. But if you're not in error, you're going to hear the words. It's just like we read in the book of Josephus. It said, you know, the days are finished here. They heard the words, even though it was a trumpet. Heavy, heavy. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. So if he's going to gather his elect from the four winds, how's that going to happen? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep. These are all our people who died in the Hamashayach. All of them are sleeping, meaning they're dead. You know, to the world, they think that they're dead, but they're asleep. That ye sorrow not. Don't even be sad about it. Be happy. Even as others which have no hope. There's some people who blaspheme the Most High daily. They ain't got no hope. For if we believe that Yahawashi died and rose again, just like Josephus had talked about, he rose the third day, even so them also which sleep in Yahawashi will the Most High bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Most High, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Hamashiach shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Most High himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High. Come up hither, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the what? Clouds, chariots, to meet the Most High in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Hamashiach. And those chariots are going to take us right to Mount Zion. That's where we're going in those chariots, straight to Mount Zion, right? Mount of Ephraim and Jerusalem. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Now we're going to fight there. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I'm going to read 3 verses here. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. For we walk by faith, not by sight, right? This is how we're supposed to be while we keep the commandments. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Most High. This is how we are to be who are alive walking on the earth, not those who are already in the ground sleeping, but this is how we ought to be. We should already be presently with the Lord, Most High Yahweh. Wherefore we labor that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him. So we're constantly in the truth. We're constantly in the scriptures so we can be saved. The Christians will say rapture, but ain't no rapture in the Bible. It's only coming for the Israelites, right? Those that believe. Let's talk more about these chariots, these clouds, right? Because people don't know this is part of the salvation. The clouds. They can ignore it all they want, but as you can see, as we're reading these things, documents, we're seeing that this stuff is real. This is going to be our deliverance. Psalm chapter 68, verse 13. Psalm chapter 68, verse 13. Check this out, because a lot of people read over this and don't realize what it's saying. Psalm chapter 68, verse 13. It says, though ye have lying among the pots. When it says, though you have lying among the pots, lying means to lie down in death. It means to rest, to be asleep. Though you have lying among the pots. What do the pots represent? The pots represent the other nations, the Gentiles in the grave. The Gentiles have hooks. Just like Revelation 18:3 says, come out of her, my people, for she is a habitation of devils. She's full of claws. It says she's full of claws and hooks. She don't want you to get away. She's the habitation of devils, deceivers. She wants to continue to deceive you. So it says, though you have lying among the pots, though you have went to sleep among these Gentiles, and lion in the Hebrew is qual. Like you say rise, you say quam, Q-A-M, quam yashala. But when you lay down, it means qual, to lay down. And that's what Judah's doing, lying down, right? Right down. We're qualling, to lie down. It means to be in death or to rest. So, but we want to quam yashala. So you have lying among the pots. In other words, we're lying in the graves of the Gentiles. What scripture comes to mind with that? Let me get a precept because it's in my mind. Isaiah, let's go to Isaiah 53 to show you that this is real. Isaiah 53. Because a lot of us are lying with the Gentiles, right? When we die, we go to these graves. Some of us have family plots. But a lot of times we can't be in those family plots, right? Because Esau come and dig them all up after all of us then died and went away and take over the land and put stores and malls on top of it. Isaiah 53 and verse 9. And he made his grave with the wicked. That's us. We're going into the grave with the wicked. and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Most High to bruise him, that's us suffering. He hath put him to grief, and thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin. He shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Most High shall prosper in his hand. This is talking about all of us in this land, because we are following the ways of Hamashayach. He was laid in a rich man's grave, which was who was that? Nicodemus. He paid for his grave. Yahawashi didn't have no insurance on this earth. The rich man, he won rich men with money over by his influence, and the rich man put Yahawashi in his grave that he had paid for himself. But he was laying in that grave with the wicked. That was a wicked cemetery. All the people in there didn't believe in the Most High. So this is the same with us. All right? Don't think that we're going to be laying down with all the Israelites. All right? We're in a foreign land. Let's go back to Psalms chapter 68. Psalms chapter 68. And let's go back to where we were, verse 13. It says, though you have lion among the pots, yet shall you be as the wings of a dove, covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow gold. When the Almighty scattered kings in it, it was white as snow in summer. You're going to be resurrected. It's covered with silver. These chariots are going to pick us up. And her feathers with yellow gold. Check this out. When you go into the book of Ezekiel, it talks about those angels having yellow gold, right? On their chariots. It's called amber. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel. And let's go to chapter 1. Ezekiel chapter 1. Let's go right to the point. Ezekiel chapter 1, and let's go to verse 27. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 27. This whole chapter is talking about chariots and the Most High's chariot. It says, and I saw as the color of amber, that's yellow, as the appearance of fire round about within it. From the appearance of his loins even upwards is a giant chariot. And from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw it were the appearance of fire. It had brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. A rainbow has many colors, right? Well, that's how them chariots are. It said salmon in Psalm 68. It said white. It said yellow. So it says it in this verse 28, the same colors. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of likeness of the glory of the Most High. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spoke.
Let me show you this. This is called the UFO cover-up. What the government won't say. This is by Lawrence Fawcett and Barry J. Greenwood. If you go down, so this was published in 1984, copyrighted. And you go down here, it says First Fireside Edition 1992, Library of Congress, cataloging and publication data, Fawcett Lawrence, the UFO cover-up. So there are your resources. And let me turn to this page. Now this is in South Africa. Notice the colors emanating from this so-called UFO. All right, and maybe I'll take a picture of this. But it says South Africa flying saucer follows man. Heretofore, Dr. Landstern has not been able to publish the full story of the incident described below, which occurred on 25th of May, 1953. The incident was reported to the Observer, to the Department of Defense in Pretoria. The latter acknowledged receiving the report but did not make it public. Dr. D. Bayers of Uppington, while driving in the automobile from Cape Town to Uppington,
had reached a port about 80 miles south of let me see, because I can't see it through my phone, Brandve, between Kinhart and Kavina, when at about 0510 hours, he suddenly saw a bright yellowish green light, as you can see there, a bright yellowish green light which illuminated the clouds. So there's that yellow and there's the clouds. From behind, shortly thereafter, it came out from behind the clouds. So it uses the clouds to cloak itself. Baer stated that it was 10 times as bright as any star he had seen. It moved up and down and sometimes also forward. The emitted light had the appearance of burning hydrogen. See that? It had the appearance of, it looked like a bright smoke. Also, the object emitted 3 streaks of light, which maintained a fixed position with respect to the main light. Like when Hamashayach rose from the dead, when the stone was rolled away out the sepulchre, there was a bright light that blinded the keepers, which were the soldiers. Bears observed the phenomenon from 0500 or 510 hours until 0600 hours. He added, I was under the impression that the object was following me because each time I stopped the car to watch it, it increased its altitude. And I've witnessed that as well, just to throw that in there. But this is in South Africa. And notice at the top it says CIA involvement, 1949, 1953. So that's why they call this the government cover-up. All right. This is something that will cause mass hysteria if people knew what these things were really, that they really existed, you know, and they keep it to the point where when you see these phenomenons on social media or whatnot, they take down the videos maybe a month later, 2 months later, so you can't find some of the actual footage. There's a lot of AI generated stuff now, but you had some actual footage of UFOs, which we call chariots or angels, that existed, but the government keeps taking it down. So here's a book that can get taken down, and it has a lot of this stuff, and most of the time the colors are emanating yellow, green, pink, some sort of a bright color that comes along with the cloud atmosphere. Look at verse 13, Ezekiel 1 and 13. This is a tiny angel chariot. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the whole thing is deep. It's talking about UFOs. Ezekiel 1 and 13. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, and went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. These are the wheels of Ezekiel, wheels within wheels. Let's go back to Psalm 68 and verse 14. Psalm 68, verse 14. It says, when the Almighty scattered kings in it. How is he going to scatter kings in these chariots? Let's go to Revelation chapter 1 again. Hold that chapter. Let's find out who these kings are. So when Yahawashi comes back, he says in this chapter, verse 6, Revelation 1, verse 6, it says, and hath made us kings and priests unto the Most High and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Remember he said, I will make a royal priesthood out of the kingdom of Israel, and you shall be kings and priests. Go back to Psalm 68. Psalm 68, and let's go to verse 14 again. That's why it says here, when the Almighty scattered kings in it. He was going to scatter us all in these chariots to bring us back to Zion. It was white as snow in salmon. It was bright, just like that bow that we read about in Ezekiel. So let's go to, let's read the next verse. The hill of the Most High is as the hill of Bashan, and high hill as the hill of Bashan. Why leap ye high hills? This is the hill which the Most High desires to dwell in, just like we read in Ezekiel. Yea, the Most High will dwell in it forever. Verse 17, the chariots, so if you didn't think I was talking about chariots before, it was talking about chariots. The chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Most High is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. See that? That's the mountain. Along with Sinai is another mountain, but he's talking about the children of Israel are going to be scattered in these chariots and taken back to the Holy Land. That's why it's going to be the greatest return to Israel ever, pursuant to Jeremiah 16. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, in the Apocrypha. Because when we get that salvation, when we get pulled up and meet them in the clouds in them chariots, we're going to get instructions. We're going to be changed just like that in the twinkle of an eye. We're going to be changed into our new bodies. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3 in the Apocrypha, verse 7. And this is how we're going to be when we get changed. And in the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. You see that? They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their power shall reign forever. So what are we going to do? We're going to judge all the nations. See that? The Most High is only dealing with the children of Israel when it comes to salvation. This is the hard pill to swallow for the Gentiles. They don't want to hear this. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 17. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 17. It says, he shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor. Talking about us. He is jealous over us, the Most High. He wants us to be with him. He don't want us to be with these heathen. And make the creature his weapon. That's talking about the children of Israel. He's going to make us his weapon for the revenge of his enemies. He shall put on righteousness as a breastplate and true judgment instead of a helmet. He shall take holiness for an invincible shield. His severe wrath shall be sharpened for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. World singular. Talking about the world of Israel. We're going to fight against the unwise. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, and from a well-drawn bow shall they fly to the mark. We're going to be tearing these nations up. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the flood shall cruelly drown them. They ain't going to have no might against them. Yea, a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. And thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. This is what's going to happen. It's not going to be a smooth transition. The smooth transition is going to be us destroying the nation. That's going to be the smooth transition. Hallelujah. All praises to the Most High. Let's go to Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. I mean, all over the Bible it talks like this. All over. Why can't they break this down? It's talking about what's going to happen. Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. Go there. Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. After they destroy us in the 10th chapter, it talks about them destroying 10 tribes in the tribe of the southern kingdom, northern and southern kingdom. This is what's going to happen. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them. Who is them? It's the 12 tribes of Israel. We've been here over 350 years. The spirit of life that entered into us is the law, statutes, and commandments with the faith of Hamashayach. Then it says, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them, which saw them. Just like those two angels, they came down, people were in fear when they saw them. We're going to be changed just like that, right? Let's go to Ezekiel 37. Hold that chapter in Revelation 11. Ezekiel 37, verse 10. Ezekiel 37, verse 10. So I prophesied. This is talking about, when you say that prayer, Psalms 23, a lot of people don't realize what that means. Psalms 23 is talking about the great valley. Though I walk through the valley of darkness, I shall fear no evil. That valley is Mystery Babylon. That's why in the first verse of this chapter, it talks about Ezekiel walking through a valley. And he saw in this valley the dry bones, which are the children of Israel. Look at verse 2. It says, and caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley. And lo, they were very dry, talking about our people who don't have the Spirit. Dry bones is talking about us in this place called Mystery Babylon. Ezekiel 37 and verse 10. It says, so I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them. What is that? The breath of life, which is the law, statutes, and commandments. And they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army, just like we just read in Revelation chapter 11. They stood on their feet, a great exceeding army. Verse 11, then he said unto me, just in case you don't think it's talking about Israel, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. See that? Behold, they say, our bones are dry, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts, just like today. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 11, and let's go to verse 12. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 12. The Negroes, Native Americans, Latinos, we all have this disgust. We've been cut off. Our bones are dried up. We got to get these laws, statutes, and commandments in us. Revelation chapter 11, verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. That's that trumpet. And they ascended up to heaven in a what? Boom, a cloud. And their enemies beheld them. See that? They're going to be in fear. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. This 10th part of the city is talking about the entire city of Mystery Babylon. A 10th part of this country is going to fall. And the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. So that's going to be triple, right? And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the Most High of heaven. See that? The second woe is past. We're at the end of the second woe. When this happens, this delivery, we're at the end of it. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 3. Let's see how Yahawashi is coming back, because we've been reading about us and the angels. Let's see what he's going to do. Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 3. It reads, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. What man? Talking about Hamashayach Yahawashi. He waxed strong with thousands of heaven, the angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things, like raising his eyebrows, so all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit homosexuality. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. Like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. You ever seen that movie Terminator 2 with Sarah Connor? When she's holding on to the gate, she had that dream and that nuclear bomb happened and they just burn up. She's holding the gate until she turns into bones. That's how it's going to happen when Yahawashi start reciting those commandments. Let's go to verse 10, 2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 10. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one. Why are they going to be prepared to fight? Because the Most High is going to put that spirit in the Army, Navy, the Air Force. They ain't going to want to fight, but he's going to put the spirit on them to fight against them, because they're going to think they have a 1% winning chance like on the Avengers Infinity Wars.
Rescue Task Force! AJ!
They're going to think they have a 1% chance able to win. They're going to think they can win this thing. So that's what the Most High is going to do, put that spirit in them. They're going to be prepared to fight. And burn them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So Ezra was afraid. Let's go to Isaiah 66 that picked them up. So when we go to Isaiah 66 and 15, it's talking about those chariots, right? Isaiah 66 and 15. And the Most High, Yahawashi, is going to release these chariots on this earth to do damage. Isaiah 66 and 15. For behold, the Most High will come with what? Fire. And with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. So he's coming to destroy. For by fire and by his sword will the Most High plead with all flesh. You're going to recite the commandment. That's the plea. They ain't keeping it. They're going to die. If they don't realize he is the king, they're going to die. And the slain of the Most High shall be many. See that? He's going to destroy many. Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 17. I'm going to read to verse 18. Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 17. Therefore say, thus saith the Most High of hosts, I will even gather you from the people. Who's going to gather? The 12 tribes of Israel, like he did in Revelation chapter 11, like he did in Matthew 24, like he did in Mark 13. And assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered. We've been scattered into all countries, the Negroes and Native Americans. And I will give you the land of Israel, and they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you. You're going to look like Yahawashi when he returns. And I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their power. See that? This is what the Most High is going to do for us. Let's go to Jeremiah 1 and 10. Hold that verse. This is what we're going to do to the nations. Right here. Jeremiah 1 and 10. Jeremiah 1 and 10. In the book of Jeremiah, everything is about us being saved and coming back on the earth to take what's ours. That's why it says in Daniel 7, and the children of Israel will take the kingdom. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down with thunderbolts, with lightning. We're going to be taking them out. To build and to plant. I ain't seen nothing withstand lightning yet except for a pole, you know, and that lightning's still traveling through that pole. Don't touch that pole and lightning hit it. It'll take you out, you know. Earthquakes, thunderstorms, winds. We're going to have all types of powers at our access. Let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 11. So we're going to destroy these nations. Ezekiel 11 and verse 21. Ezekiel 11, verse 21. But as for them whose heart walketh after the heart of their detestable things and their abominations, I will recompense their way upon their own heads. These are fellow brothers and sisters who are not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Everything that they've been talking bad about when it comes to us, he's going to bring it back on their own heads if they didn't repent. Verse 22. Then did the cherubims, what are the cherubims? Angels. Lift up their wings, and the wheels beside them. And the glory of the Most High of Israel was over them above. The wheels, the UFOs look like wheels. They have wheels within wheels. They have eyes all around the wheels. Verse 23. And the glory of the Most High went up from the midst of the city and stood upon the mountain which is on the east side of the city. All right. It reads in Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. Now, where is he getting this from? We just read about all the prophecies of Yahawashi coming back and burning up this place. Now we should understand what this means. He said that we're going to be like sparks on top of the stubble. And here's Malachi talking about those who do wickedly will be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Most High of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. And you shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall in peace. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Most High of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servants, which I commanded to him in Horeb for all of Israel. Goes right back to the commandment with the statutes and judgments. All right? I'll stop there. I can read 5 and 6, but it's not necessary because this is pertaining to the class that we just had. I hope this was a blessing to you. I hope you got some understanding that the Most High is coming back with salvation for his children of Israel. We are going to be saved from all our enemies. So you should be very steadfast about this. All praise to the Most High, Yahawashi Hamashayach. All right.
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.